Hi everyone, Chillax here and welcome back to another Anchor Panic video. So as you can see before you, Frost Night Dawn has finally released for global version 2.0, and today we will go over everything you need to know about her, particularly whether to pull or pass on her, what she does, how to build her, and finally we will do some showcases. And I'm happy to say that she is quite meta defining for both PvP as well as PvE, and so for this reason, if you are a free-to-play player or a brand new player looking to really juice up your account, make it as powerful as possible, I think she will be an excellent pickup. So with regards to pulling or passing on her, I would say that if you're a free-to-play player who has already secured one copy of Abyss Alicia as well as her signature Sigil, I think it makes a lot of sense to go ahead and pour all your raid up tickets and crystal ashes towards first securing one copy of her and then one copy of her Sigil. Her Sigil adds to her existing kit, and we'll talk about that later, particularly the clause in the Sigil where it states that she can execute enemies. And this allows you to bypass certain mechanics that would otherwise allow the enemy to survive for longer. For instance, Flicker's revival mechanic. Yes, and keep in mind that because Frost Night Dawn is a limited time operator, so once her banner leaves on March 25th, you won't be able to fail the pity for her or her signature Sigil again until probably 4 months from now. Now, if you are a completely brand new player who maybe missed Abyss Alicia's banner back in November of 2025, then I think it makes a lot of sense that starting out, if you want to really flesh out your account, make it super strong and future-proof, I would highly recommend that you first go for one copy of Abyss Alicia and then one copy of her signature Sigil before you go ahead and try to secure Frost Night Dawn. And the reason for that is because from a PvP perspective, Abyss Alicia is incredibly meta-defining with her ability to do massive amounts of damage, potentially even energy bursting every turn, while being able to revive over and over again. And in PvE content, she also is one of the highest damage dealers. Actually, I think she is the highest damage dealer in the game for global right now, by a lot, by at least 50%. And so for this reason, I highly recommend you get a copy of her as well as her Sigil first, because she too is a limited time operator. And then once you secure her and her Sigil, then go ahead and try to secure Frost Night Dawn as well as her signature Sigil. If you are a brand new player, I think this is entirely possible because you can get a ton of extra crystal ashes from the different game modes that you clear for the first time. Yes, and so I would say that for a new player, this is one of the best times to start Anchor Panic because you get two of the top rated operators in the game. And if you are a low spender, I would highly recommend go ahead and secure one copy of Frost Night Dawn as well as her signature Sigil. If you plan on getting dupes of her, I highly recommend that you get her Ascension 3 first. And if you are a whale, then you can consider getting her signature Sigil to 6 copies because this allows you to have a 100% chance to get 2 punishment stacks every turn, and this allows her to energy burst like 2 or 3 times every turn. It's pretty insane. But in my case, I consider her a long-term future-proof unit. And so for this reason, I went ahead and got her Ascension 6 along with max dupe of her signature Sigil. Alright, so now that we've gone over her pull or pass value, this is her promotional skin from it's the Languid Lean skin. And this is a Battle Pass skin that you can certainly get if you want to support the game. And I'll take this opportunity to hide my camera so you can enjoy the skin. So let's go ahead and do it.
これで終わりですか、リンカ。あなたならもっと強い好奇心があると思いましたよ。例えば、もう少し冷たい。 書物にこぼれなくてよかった。なるほど。すべてお見通しですね。やはりリンカーは
Yeah, so a very spicy skin for a very spicy operator. And there's one more animation, but it just zooms into different parts of her body. Alright, so let's go ahead and go over the meat of the video, which is basically what she does, right? That's why we're here. Okay, so let's go ahead and find her. So Frost Knight Dawn, as you can see, is a very powerful operator, being an icebreaker who has the exact same targeting as Eucaly. And so for this reason, you know, she's able to dish out a ton of damage while also being able to support the party and enhance your party's overall damage. And this makes her very flexible in both PvP as well as PvE. Now with opposite front row positioning in combination with the ice homology, which allows her to slow down the enemies by 5% for every freezing stack you apply, this allows Frost Knight Dawn to actually slow down particular enemies that you are trying to cut in front of when it comes to turn order. And this can have massive impact in the outcome of PvP matches, which we'll go over later. Now for her skills, her talent 1, Oath of the Dawn. While active on the field at the start of each turn, she activates Knight's Oath. This is a field effect that so long as Frost Knight Dawn is on the battlefield, all operators will have an extra 10% increased attack, and for herself she will get 15% increased attack. Additionally, the Knight's Oath will give herself an additional 12.5% crit rate, and this allows her, in combination with a well-invested, Sigil as well as model set, to reach a crit rate of 71% even without Stellaron considerations. So she has one of the highest crit rate stats in the game, and thanks to her being an ice operator who can obviously partner up with Frost Jade, she can benefit further from the crit damage buff that Frost Jade applies to other ice operators. So basically what I'm trying to say is that she can dish out quite a bit of damage herself. Now with her talent 2, Oath of Retribution, upon action locks onto the enemy with the lowest HP, prioritizing bosses over elite enemies when targeting monsters. And her talent 2 will make it so that any allies that hit that locked on target will deal 7.5% increased damage. And in her case specifically, she will do approximately maybe like 13% increased damage, and for every 25% HP lost by an enemy unit, she will gain 1 stack of Judgment. When Judgment reaches 6 stacks, unleashes 1 energy burst on the locked target, and this damage cannot be blocked. And so this is a way for her to do more true damage with her energy burst, which makes her a very lethal damage dealer. And this, when you watch the PvP replays that I show you later today, then you will see that she energy bursts like 2 or 3 times every turn. Now, for her other skill set, basic attack and skills are just single target damaging attacks, and then her energy burst, Dawn's Glow, deals ice damage to a single enemy opposite to her, and if the target has 4 more freezing stacks, then her energy burst damage will increase by 15%. And this includes the free energy burst that she gets when she has 6 judgment stacks and, activates her free energy burst. This also boosts that damage output. Now, when it comes to Ascensions, I would say that Ascension 3 is a great stopping point for most players, and the reason is because the most important thing from the Ascension 3 is not necessarily the percentage, but the fact that you can trigger 1 lock immediately at the battle start. Now, lock was the debuff that I mentioned earlier from her talent, which makes it so anytime an ally hits that target, they do increased damage. Well, typically you would need your Frost Knight Dawn to move first, and then this will activate the lock. However, with the Ascension 3, it makes it so that it basically triggers at the start of battle, and once that locked on target gets KO'd, the lock automatically changes targets. So you basically maintain momentum when it comes to damage output. You don't have any DPS loss. In addition, you get a special ability unique to her Ascension 3, which is that the locked target has a 60% chance to be afflicted with Isolated. Now, this unique mechanic means that damage taken by the isolated units cannot be shared. Now, currently there's not many operators that share damage. I think the most notable one is going to be Quasar, and Quasar is not really being used in PvP right now. However, we will get operators in the future that share damage between units, and this isolated mechanic will play more of a role. So this is something we don't care about now. We're mainly caring about lock, but this clause will have an impact in the future. Now, with regards to Stellaron, I highly recommend that you check out Claw Sensei's guide on Frost Knight Dawn on Discord, because I do agree with him 100% that when it comes to leveling up the Stellaron, if you're a free-to-play player, he and we both recommend that you first take the middle path and then go to the left, because it picks up the most bang for your buck stats, I should say, because every stat along the way, attack, ice damage, speed bonus, and defense penetration, are all going to be useful in boosting Frost Knight Dawn's damage output. Now, I know that in the previous video I said that you can, after reaching this node, go to the right to get access to crit damage and crit rate. However, Claw Sensei made a good point that actually another way to do it is to keep going to the left, and then once you get defense penetration, keep going, get talent 1, get the energy burst, get talent 2, and then get the crit rate, crit damage nodes. By going in a clockwise direction and stopping at the crit damage nodes, you basically maximize the value that you get from your resonance bottles, skipping the HP and break rate buffs, which arguably don't do as much for your account. So yeah, you would basically go like this and stop at crit damage. And that's what I plan to do with my Frost Knight Jade. Now, with regards to her signature sigil, I'm just checking the time here, I think we're doing okay. Her signature sigil is very powerful because it applies both ice damage buff as well as defense ignore. And defense ignore is a more premium, powerful stat line that not as many signature sigils carry. And when equipped by Frost Knight Jade, at the start of each turn, she has a 40% chance to gain 2 stacks of judgment, and this is what allows her to energy burst multiple times per turn. And each time an enemy is defeated, all allies' attack increases by 6%, lasting until the battle end, up to 4 stacks. Now, obviously, I have a max level sigil here. I think this percentage is like 2% or 4%, I don't quite remember. But being able to buff all allies' attack until the end of turn is quite a powerful ability. So, it makes me like Frost Knight Dawn so much, because she's an excellent damage dealer with a very high crit rate. But in addition to that, she also supports the team quite well, and this makes her an excellent sub DPS. Furthermore, the energy burst triggered by Judgment has let's say like a 35% chance to instantly execute units with HP below 2000, not considered damage. Now, I do have to say that when it comes to PvP, activating this is a bit harder than I expected, because even at max ascension of the sigil, you only have a 50-50 chance to execute the enemy. But furthermore, the enemy, getting them below 2000 HP is kind of hard to do. It's because when you face against really strong players, their operators' HP could easily reach like 50 to 60k. So getting them down to 2000 is kind of a tall order. However, this allows you to bypass mechanics such as Flicker's revival or maybe Frost Jade's revival. And as more operators are released, this will have more and more of an impact on the outcome of any PvP match. Now, while we are on the topic of Signature Sigil, if for whatever reason you're a free-to-play player, brand new as well, you acquired Abyss Alicia, her Sigil, acquired Frost Knight Jade or Frost Knight Dawn, but did not get her Sigil, she does have some good alternatives. For instance, any sigil that increases her crit rate or crit damage is going to be welcome, such as Arrival of the Outsider or the Great Furnace, or you could go for a crit damage sigil such as Falling Monolith and Whale Echo. Just note that you might not energy burst as frequently, and you won't have the executability, and you won't have another avenue with which to buff the attack of your party members. So this is why I say, if you can get her Signature Sigil, I highly recommend it. Now, when it comes to Signature Sigil and powers, I would say that from a PvE perspective, defense penetration, crit rate, crit damage is going to be the optimal, and that's what I aimed for. Originally, I had crit rate, defense penetration, and speed, but I came to the conclusion that right now PvE might be the more important game mode, and I'm not 100% convinced that Frost Knight Dawn is going to be the answer for your PvP issues. So for this reason, I think, she's a breaker. She will always be relevant in PvE content, so it makes a lot of sense to go full offensive. However, if you were like me earlier and you got like crit rate on the first Empower and then defense penetration, crit damage on the second Empower, defense penetration and speed on the next Empower, and you're like a free-to-play player, then I think that's perfectly fine. Speed is an excellent stat line that is very useful in PvP. Plus, it allows your Frost Knight Dawn to outspeed your Eucaly more easily when it comes to PvE content. So, in order of stat line priority, I would say crit rate number 1, defense penetration number 2, ice damage / crit damage number 3, and then number 4 will be speed. And then when it comes to model sets, I would say that I was having a discussion with Claw Sensei, and we both agree that it's going to be 4-piece ice, 2-piece attack boost. The reason being that this gives her flexibility in both PvP as well as PvE. And not only that, when it comes to PvE content, the most optimal team that you will run with Frost Knight Dawn will be triple breaker. So it'll be Frost Knight Dawn, Abyssal, and Core, triple breaker, along with your Eucaly, who's your striker, as well as Frost Jade, who will keep everyone alive. And with that many breakers, you don't really need the extra 20% boost in tenacity break efficiency, because you're running an extra breaker. In most PvE content, you will only run 2 breakers, right? Just Ice Element has the luxury of running 3. So that's my opinion on that. And when it comes to remodel effects, you're going to prioritize crit rate, followed by crit damage, followed by, I would recommend at least having a couple lines of speed in order to outspeed your Eucaly in PvE content. In my case, I opted for 6 out of 6 speed because I think it's quite useful. And then the rest into base attack and attack. And, excuse me, you're going to go speed, crit rate, and crit damage. Okay, so I'm going to temporarily pause the video and we'll go over PvP teams. Okay, so there are 3 Frost Knight Dawn teams that have beaten my defenses so far, and I'm going to go over them all briefly before we do a replay, and I'll explain how it works. So this iteration is my current defense, right? It's not currently running Frost Knight Dawn, but there is an iteration that beated this team that instead of running Echo, ran Frost Knight Dawn. And this team is quite effective because you still run the best speed tuner in the game, Turn, best defender in the game, Luna, best healer in the game, Frost Jade, best DPS / tank in the game, Abyss Alicia. And for the 5th slot, which is pretty flex, typically players in the past would have run either Echo or Rose, or maybe to a lesser extent Lang Zhao. Well, with Frost Knight Dawn in the 5th slot, this enables certain benefits that the other teams don't have. First of all, you have a sub DPS, but you have a sub DPS that activates the complete energy homology for ice, and this allows your Frost Knight Dawn to do a lot of damage. But additionally, Frost Knight Dawn supports the entire team, right? Because she boosts the attack of all your allies, as well as weakens the enemy so that you do increased damage onto the locked on target. And by placing Frost Knight Dawn in this position here, you can potentially slow down via the freezing stacks against opposing turns or echoes who tend to be on the opposite lane in the front. And this allows you to slow down their speed tuner so that you still have the advantage when it comes to speed priority. Now, the downside to running Frost Knight Dawn instead of, say, Echo is that your Abyss Alicia no longer has the lightning homology, and this makes it so that you cannot apply shock stacks, and this makes it so that Abyss Alicia's model set, 4-piece model set, does not work as well, because typically you need 5 or more shock stacks in order to do the extra 20% lightning damage. So for this reason, I'm still running the Echo version. However, so far I have been beaten in multiple ways, and I'm going to showcase that to you right now. Okay, so let's go over my defenses here. I want to show Gear's team because I think it is incredibly creative and doesn't even run Abyss Alicia. And so, basically how this team works, you're still running Turn, still running Frost Jade, but you're going to outspeed the enemy on offense by running Mustang, who is typically on Turn signature Sigil. And what will happen is Mustang will act first, and then with the Turn Sigil equipped onto her, she will boost the speed of everyone else, and then Turn will move next. So you have double Turn Sigil activation, and this will allow your entire team to outspeed the opponent. And what will end up happening is that Gear, my guildmate, will focus down my Echo, right, with Frost Knight Dawn hitting her first, and then Eucaly second. This will slow my Echo down, but even pick up a KO. So let's go ahead and watch this replay, see it in action. And please pardon the acoustics, I forgot to bring my microphone for my work. And I think the cleaning ladies are vacuuming the rooms. Okay, so I'm on defense. Mustang outsped me, which allowed their turn to outspeed my turn. And now he is doing damage to my Echo and slowing my Echo down. And then he's going to set up the Frost Domain. And then Eucaly is going to attempt to pick up a KO on my Echo before I can set up my own Frost Domain. And I think in this replay he ends up picking up the KO. Let's see. Yeah, so I haven't even moved yet and I'm already one operator down. He's getting extra energy bursts with his Frost Knight Dawn, and it's already GG's. Like, even before I started, I'm already one operator down. And this ends up still being a long fight because I have Luna, but with 2 DPSs on his end and 1 DPS on my end, and me being one operator down, my Abyss Alicia is not able to revive as many times as she would like. I think this ends up being a quick battle, so I guess we can watch it play out. But I think this is one of the most creative PvP teams that I've seen to date. And so for those of you Eucaly and Frost Knight Dawn enjoyers who maybe wants to run your Abyss Alicia purely for PvE, this frees up, your this gives you more options. Yeah, that's basically the purpose of this video, is to show you more options. So now he's applying freezing stacks to my Frost Knight, to my Frost Jade, so that she will eventually be the slowest enemy on the battlefield with 6 freezing stacks, because each freezing stack will decrease my speed by 5%. So with 30% less speed, my Frost Jade might not set up her Frost Domain before somebody else dies. Yeah, so my Frost Jade... Oh, and look at how often the enemy's Frost Knight Dawn is doing the ultimate. And I think at this point, let's see where the lock on target is right now. Oh, I think is it that? Let me see. So the target will look like a bullseye, like a clock, but I'm not sure if it's on right now. Is it that? I think it might be that. Yeah. Oh, okay, so that's the KO. I mean, look at how much damage she's doing. So much. Oh my god. Yeah, I mean, I am in big trouble right now. Oh, and there's the debuff. Okay, so I guess because Gear has the skin, so it looks like a star target instead of a traditional bullseye. Yeah, and mind you, by running this almost mono ice team, your Frost Jade is applying crit damage to most of your operators. Certainly both your Eucaly as well as your Frost Knight Dawn, because they are both ice operators, right? Yeah. And all of these energy bursts are targeting... Okay, so now, because Gear has Ascension 3 or higher, Frost Knight Dawn, so the target has automatically relocked onto my turn, and yeah, it's looking like it's going to be GG's pretty soon. I mean, this is so cool, right? I mean, I lost, obviously, but I think it's pretty cool. So when we take a look at the damage calcs for my defense, let's see here. Wow, look at how much damage both Frost Knight Dawn as well as Eucaly did. They both did more damage than my Abyss Alicia. Yeah, so anyways, that pretty much wraps it up for this video. I think this is really cool. One viewer was commenting in the past that, you know, Frost Knight Dawn is not having much of an impact on the CN server, but because the global server as well as the JP server tends to be more balanced, so I think we're going to see a lot more Frost Knight Dawn in PvP in the future. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comment section below whether you are going to summon for her or not, and I will catch you in the next video. Take care, guys.